When Henry L. Marsh III became Richmond's first black mayor in 1977, it felt like more than just a political victory. It was a seismic shift, a moment when the clouds of history parted and a ray of brilliant hope shone down upon our city. For generations, black Richmonders had fought, organized, and prayed for a seat at the table where the city's future was decided. Suddenly, we were not just at the table, we were at the head of it. This was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter, where the levers of power would finally be pulled to uplift the very communities that had been systematically held back for so long. The air was thick with optimism, and the expectations were sky high. This wasn't just about one man, it was a collective dream realized, a symbol that our voices, our votes, and our lives mattered in the corridors of City Hall. The election of a black majority on the city council alongside Mayor Marsh felt like the culmination of the civil rights struggle, translated into tangible local power. We envisioned a future where our neighborhoods would flourish, our businesses would receive the support they deserved, and our children would see leaders who looked like them making decisions that benefited them. The promise was one of equity, justice, and shared prosperity, turning Richmond into a true beacon of the New South. The years that followed saw a succession of black leaders in key positions, solidifying this new political reality. We saw black faces in the mayor's office, on the school board, and in administrative roles. Each election victory reinforced the belief that we were on the right path. This was our time. We trusted that this representation would naturally lead to substantive change. The prevailing thought was simple: if our own people are in charge, they will surely look out for our best interests. It was a logical assumption, born from a deep-seated faith in our shared struggle and a powerful desire for communal advancement. However, the journey from symbolic victory to substantive progress is rarely a straight line. It is a complex, winding road filled with unforeseen obstacles and hard-learned lessons. The hope that burned so brightly in those early days was a powerful fuel. But as we would soon discover, hope alone cannot pave streets, fund schools, or build generational wealth. The machinery of government is complicated, and the challenges facing our community were deeply entrenched. The initial euphoria of political representation would soon meet the harsh realities of economic and structural forces that had been at play for centuries. The path to progress was paved with ambitious projects, each one announced with great fanfare and heralded as a turning point for Richmond's black community. Chief among them was the 6th Street Marketplace, a downtown revitalization project that promised to be a vibrant hub for commerce and a showcase for black-owned businesses. It was a beautiful vision, a bustling, festive center that would draw people and dollars back to the heart of the city while creating opportunities for our entrepreneurs. We were told it would be a game changer, a symbol of a new, inclusive economy. But the initial excitement soon faded as the marketplace struggled to attract and retain both shops and shoppers, ultimately becoming a shadow of its grand ambition. Then came the big-ticket sporting events, sold to the public as can't-miss economic engines. The city invested heavily to bring the Redskins, now the Commanders' training camp, to town, promising a massive influx of tourism, jobs, and revenue. A similar story was told for the UCI Road World Championships, a global bike race that would put Richmond on the world stage. We were assured these events would benefit everyone, especially local businesses in black communities. Yet, when the dust settled, the promised economic windfall never quite materialized for our neighborhoods. The profits seemed to flow elsewhere, leaving many to wonder if the high cost was worth the fleeting spectacle. Another major opportunity appeared with the proposal for a casino, which promised thousands of jobs and a dedicated stream of revenue for city services. For many in underserved communities, this felt like a concrete plan to address long-standing economic disparities. It was presented as a direct path to employment and a way to fund our schools and infrastructure without raising taxes on residents. The debate was fierce, but the prospect of economic self-sufficiency was a powerful motivator for its supporters. When Richmond voters narrowly rejected the proposal, it felt like another door to economic empowerment had been slammed shut, leaving a palpable sense of a lost chance. These projects, from the marketplace to the casino, share a common, painful lesson. They highlight a recurring gap between promises made and benefits delivered. A particularly stark example was the city's commitment to award 20% of its contracts to Black-owned firms, a policy designed to ensure that public dollars were reinvested in our community. In reality, the number of contracts that went to Black businesses fell tragically short, hovering at less than 2%. This wasn't just a missed goal, it was a broken promise that revealed a deeper truth. Having Black leaders in office did not automatically translate into economic power for Black people on the ground. While the city chased grand silver bullet projects, a slower, more insidious economic shift was happening within our own communities. Thriving Black business corridors, places where dollars once circulated from family to family, began to change. Local barbershops, soul food restaurants, and neighborhood markets, the very heart of our economic ecosystem, started to disappear. They were often replaced by businesses owned by people from outside the community. While new investment is not inherently bad, this pattern meant that profits generated in our neighborhoods were no longer staying in our neighborhoods. This capital flight drained the economic lifeblood from the very places that needed it most. At the same time, the shadow of gentrification began to loom large over historically Black neighborhoods like Jackson Ward, Churchill, and Manchester. As the city became more attractive, outside investors saw an opportunity, buying up properties, renovating them, and driving up housing costs. For lifelong residents, many of whom were renters or living on fixed incomes, this revitalization felt more like a displacement. The rising property taxes and rents pushed families out of the homes and communities they had known for generations. The very culture and character of these historic Black spaces began to erode, replaced by a new, more affluent demographic. The economic blows were not just internal. Major retail centers and shopping malls, which had once provided accessible jobs and shopping for Richmond residents, began a steady migration out to the surrounding counties of Henrico and Chesterfield. This retail exodus created job deserts within the city limits, forcing residents to travel farther for both employment and basic goods. For those without reliable transportation, this shift created significant barriers, further isolating them from economic opportunity. The city, locked into its geographical boundaries and unable to expand its tax base like the counties, found itself at a significant financial disadvantage. This trifecta of capital flight, gentrification, and retail exodus created a perfect storm of economic hardship. Promises of shared revenue from neighboring counties never fully materialized, leaving the city's budget strained. The dream of a prosperous Black Richmond, which had seemed so close with the dawn of Black political leadership, was slipping away. It became painfully clear that political representation, without a corresponding economic strategy and the power to execute it, was not enough to reverse decades of systemic disinvestment. The community was left with symbols of power, but not the substance of it. The core lesson from these decades is not one of blame, but one of strategy. It is not enough to simply have Black faces in high places. We need Black leaders who wield substantive power with a clear, unified economic vision for the community. The challenge is not external. It is about internal unity, accountability, and strategy. We have shining examples of what this kind of leadership looks like. Consider the legacy of the late Dr. Lucille M. Brown, who rose from teacher to superintendent of Richmond Public Schools. She didn't just occupy an office. She used her position to champion quality education, build institutions, and mentor generations of young people, creating a tangible impact that lives on. We see this same blend of vision and action today in leaders like Dr. Robert Wynn, the director of the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center. As the first Black president of the Association of American Cancer Institutes, he has focused relentlessly on closing the health disparity gap. Under his leadership, real, measurable progress has been made, proving that dedicated leadership can produce life-saving results. Dr. Wynn's work in securing resources, promoting inclusive excellence, and mentoring the next generation of Black doctors and scientists provides a powerful blueprint for what is possible when symbolic leadership is backed by substantive action and a clear mission. The path forward requires us to shift our focus from simply winning elections to building lasting economic power. This means demanding more than symbolic gestures. It means creating and supporting a unified Black economic agenda. We must hold our leaders and ourselves accountable for tangible outcomes. Are we creating policies that actively support and fund Black-owned businesses? Are we ensuring that promises of contract percentages are not just met, but exceeded? Are we building wealth that can be passed down, securing our community's place in Richmond's future? The ultimate question is, how do we prepare the next generation to lead differently? How do we equip them to build on the political victories of the past to achieve the economic victories of the future? The work begins now. It requires a renewed commitment to supporting our own businesses, creating our own opportunities, and fostering a culture of unity and accountability. We must move beyond the pride of symbolic firsts and begin the hard, necessary work of building a legacy of economic strength and true self-determination for the generations to come, keeping Black history alive one story at a time. Follow Famous Brown History Channel.